Of the wall of silence he encountered, Fabian noted the natives of Upper and Lower Courtenay and the surrounding district are of a secretive disposition, and they do not take easily to strangers. But the detective did manage to learn a little more about Charles Walton. It appears that after the death of his sister, he became withdrawn and may have developed an interest in the supernatural. There was also talk in the village that he could communicate with animals, that he was clairvoyant, and even that he regularly took part in black magic rituals. When these strange rumours were leaked to the press, they had a field day. The Daily Mirror published a story from a woman who claimed to have proof that Walton had been murdered by 13 practitioners of witchcraft who came from all over the country for the purpose. The case became known nationally as the witchcraft murder. Despite the intensive police operation and the huge amount of press coverage, no new leads emerged, and Spooner and Fabian had no option but to wind down the investigation. But this strange tale still held some surprises. Fabian later described taking a last walk up Meon Hill to the crime scene. As he stood there, a large black dog ran past him. Shortly afterwards, a young boy came up the hill, and Fabian asked him whether he had lost his dog. When the boy looked puzzled, he explained that he'd just seen a large black dog go by, at which the boy turned pale and ran as fast as he could back down the hill. When Fabian later related the story in the local pub, he found that a hush had fallen on the room, and the locals were beginning to leave. One of the Stratford Herald's reports of the murder records that the only item missing from Walton's body was an old tin pocket watch that he was known to have taken with him on that fatal day. Despite an intensive search of the crime scene and his cottage, it was never found. 15 years later, in August 1960, during demolition of outbuildings behind the cottage, a workman saw something glinting in the dark. It was an old tin watch, later identified as the one Charles Walton always carried with him. How it got back to the cottage remains a mystery. Superintendent Alex Spooner continued his own personal hunt for the killer. He remained convinced the murder was committed by a local man, and every year, on the anniversary of the murder, Spooner would visit Walton's grave, walk around the village, then climb Meon Hill, hoping to find a clue that may have been missed. He never did, and the case remains open. The churchyard has since been re-landscaped and its old headstones removed, so today there is no trace left of old Charles Walton. Nevertheless, February 14th still stirs dark memories for older residents of Quinton. Even today, villagers remain tight-lipped about a murder they would prefer to forget. Of course, we'll probably never know the truth about Charles Walton's death, although Robert Fabian, the hard-nosed detective, appears to have drawn his own conclusion. Some years after the investigation, he wrote, "I advise anybody who is tempted at any time to venture into black magic or witchcraft to remember Charles Walton and to think of his death, which was clearly the ghastly climax of a pagan rite. There is no stronger argument for keeping as far away as possible from the villains with their swords, incense, and mumbo-jumbo. It is prudence on which your future peace of mind and even